We often associate modern finance with institutions like the Federal Reserve or the Bank of England. But long before they existed, Baghdad was already shaping the rules of global finance. It's a hidden chapter, one that reveals how deep the roots of our financial system truly go. Between the 8th and 13th centuries, the world was moving in two different directions. Europe remained fragmented and local. Meanwhile, the Islamic world was becoming more connected and organized. That difference would change the nature of finance forever. This wasn't just about growing trade. It was about building a system capable of supporting it. Because when trade expands, finance must evolve with it. Otherwise, the entire system breaks down. Finance evolves slowly, over centuries, and one of its most critical phases took place in the Islamic world. Many of the concepts we use today were first developed here. At the center of this transformation was the Abbasid Caliphate. In 750, a new power structure emerged. This wasn't just a political shift, it was an economic reset. In 762, Baghdad was founded. Positioned along the Tigris River, it quickly became one of the largest cities in the world. And soon, it became the heart of global finance. Baghdad wasn't just a capital. It was a center of trade, knowledge, and culture. People from different worlds met here, and that accelerated everything. Its location was no accident. Baghdad sat at the intersection of trade routes linking China, India, Central Asia, Africa, and the Mediterranean. East met West here, and finance had to keep up. Silk, spices, metals, and valuable goods flowed through the city. As trade expanded, so did risk. And when risk increases, finance must evolve. Trade alone is never enough. There was a problem. Merchants couldn't carry large amounts of gold. It was dangerous and inefficient. The system needed a smarter solution. The roads were long, theft was common, and one mistake could cost everything. Under these conditions, large-scale trade couldn't survive. Imagine a network stretching from Spain to Central Asia. That kind of system couldn't rely on coins alone. It needed something stronger. It needed trust. However, trade couldn't be conducted solely on personal trust. It required a system at the institutional level. The Islamic world had a key advantage: relative political stability across a vast region. This made trade safer, and trade depends on trust. There was also a shared language, Arabic, and a shared legal framework. Together, they standardized the system. Everyone operated under the same rules. This legal system wasn't just religious, it was economic infrastructure. It defined how trade worked and reduced uncertainty. Because finance isn't built on metal, it's built on promises, and whether those promises are kept. Law turns trust into something real. Gold dinars and silver dirhams were widely used, but for large-scale trade, they weren't enough. Physical money had limits. New solutions had to emerge. The real revolution happened in contracts. Trade became structured and predictable. Rules around debt and partnerships were clearly defined, and that reduced uncertainty. From Cairo to Damascus to Baghdad, the same rules applied. That made trade easier. Merchants knew what to expect wherever they went, and that consistency changed everything. When law becomes portable, trade becomes scalable. Risk drops, investment rises, and economies accelerate. One of the most important innovations of this era was Mudaraba, a partnership model. It brought together capital and labor, and it shared risk. One provided the money, the other managed the business. Profits were shared. Incentives were aligned. If there was a loss, the investor absorbed it. The entrepreneur lost only their time and effort. Risk was clearly defined. This was very different from feudal systems. There was no guaranteed income, only shared risk. And that made the system more honest. There was no fixed return, only performance. No certainty, only results. But that made the system more grounded in reality. If this feels familiar, there's a reason. It closely resembles modern venture capital. The logic hasn't changed, only the form has. The investor funds the venture. The entrepreneur runs it. Profits are shared. Losses fall mostly on capital. This system activated idle wealth. Gold didn't sit, it moved. And when capital moves, economies grow. Interest was prohibited, but finance didn't stop. It adapted. Instead of interest, profit sharing took center stage. Finance didn't disappear, it transformed. Another breakthrough was the Sakk, an early form of the check. Money no longer needed to travel physically. The Hawala system also emerged. Money didn't move, but balances did. These were the early steps of modern payment systems. This is the story of how the Islamic Golden Age reshaped finance, and, more importantly, how those ideas still live on today, and also shows us something important. Finance is not just about money. It's about law, trust, and structure. And when those align, everything scales.